Hey all Guardians, Top Cat here and welcome back to the channel. With Act 3 of Heresy, we've fully unlocked our seasonal artifact and we're able to upgrade all the perks within it. This has seen our Strand Titan once again sitting atop of the meta with more DR than IQ. This comes not only from our woven mail, which has seen a significant increase in uptime, but now most everything we attack is severed, so they deal 40% less damage to us. A huge part of this is thanks to Vile Weave, where targets we hit with our tangles are severed, and it reduces our tangle cooldown when we pick up a tangle. This perk works seamlessly with our Into the Fray aspect, as by destroying a tangle, or by casting our super, is going to grant us woven mail. So we grab a tangle and hit it at a hive's face, it does damage, and he does less damage thanks to being severed, and we receive 45% less damage thanks to woven mail. Additionally, whilst we have woven mail, our melee regeneration is increased. When we yeet one of those green flamey tangles at the ground, it creates an aura that gives us woven mail for 10 seconds. In addition, we're going to be running Thread of Warding, so when we pick up an orb of power, we'll get that woven mail for 5 seconds. Why date the one girl when you can date a girl and a half? More mouth is more fun, is what I always say. And I'm also going to rock one recuperation mod to give us a bump in health whenever I pick up an orb of power. I'd suggest running 2 elemental siphons, particularly in Grandmasters, as you tend to have to rotate weapons around a lot, so you never really know when that orb is going to pop out. We got that thread of transmutation, so whilst we have woven mail, any weapon final blow can create us a tangle. You let that cooldown on the left hand side of your screen. The second it's gone, boom, another tangle. Now before we had that prismatic consecration spamming, the green meaty was our frenzied blade. These 3 slashes not only do great damage, but also sever, making that classic dust up a lot safer. With Thread of Fury, whenever we damage targets with a tangle, it's going to grant us melee energy. This can offer us anywhere between 10 to 25% melee juice, depending on the level of enemy it hits. But as every opponent that it hits counts as a separate instance, the more enemies we tag, the more juice we're getting back. This kit is a classic reborn, so obviously we're using the Synthoceps exotic gauntlets, as its perk biotic enhancement is absolute baller. When we're surrounded, we gain increased melee and super damage, as well as improved weapon handling and reload speed. This will not only increase our frenzied blade damage by 165%, but it will also make our grapple melee just as potent as we slingshot ourselves into their faces, knuckle to nose, and unravel them. To help boost this green meanie's uptime, we have both impact induction and momentum transfer. Both of these give us a 12% cooldown bonus for 7 seconds to the opposing ability used. Slap him in the cheek, get some nade juice, pull the pin, and grow a limb. We've got heavy handed to give us an orb of power whenever we get a melee final blow, and we can make one of these every 10 seconds. And yes, this works for either our frenzied blade or our grapple punch. With invigoration, this is going to reduce our melee cooldown by 10% whenever we pick up an orb of power, and with orbs of restoration, it'll reduce our lowest charged ability by a further 10% on all pickups. Now with Banner of War, it might not be what it once was, but it's still extremely potent, and it's going to help us plug the holes in our defense when we don't have that woven mail active. When defeating targets using a melee, finisher or sword, to raise that Banner of War is going to pulse with energy, periodically healing us and nearby allies, and increase our melee and sword damage. Yes, our glaives do count as melees. It's not a traditional stacking melee that goes up in the stages of the Banner of War. It's a flat rate, 34% damage increase. The pulses are designed to heal you faster, and it should escalate every 4 odd kills, as that blood pumps faster, maxing out at Banner times 4. Additionally, every pulse we get a 5% recharge to our frenzied blades, and an additional 5% for every ally who's in our aura. I always try and start off my Banner of War with either a Glaive melee kill, as this doesn't cost us anything, or a finisher. I've got that proximity ward mod to give us a 200 HP void overshield whilst performing a finisher, and I'm rocking a special ammo finisher, as often with this kit we're close enough to dock. Synthos are again strong whilst using our Glaives, boosting our Glaive's damage when we had their biotic enhancements by 100%. Use your favourite, it doesn't matter. I've recently farmed out the Backfang from Gambit. I've got enhanced Grave Robber, so our Glaive melee final blows will reload for us. That way I've always got the ammo ready to go, so my jolting feedback is always loaded and ready to deploy jolts. Now our Glaives deal kinetic damage, so I've got the Elemental Siphon in the artifact, our rapid final blows with a kinetic weapon, or a weapon matching our equipped super will create us tangles. More tangles, more mayhem, and we've got this boosted so we can collect one of these green loogies to sever hostiles and bulk up and give us increased super energy. I love the Blade Fury inside GM's, suspension is a great stopgap and the super can apply tons of damage to a single target and we've got plenty of them thanks to our roaming super buff. And not to mention of course that 50% super damage bonus thanks to the Synthos. We've got that Hold the Line in the artifact, allowing our Glaive final blows to heal us. And we've got no bell, so when I spam kill with my Glaive, it's not only going to grant us ammo back, but if we block some damage before I go in for the jab, we give ourselves a 55% damage bonus for 6 seconds. This of course all stacks on top of that Syntho bonus, that banner bonus, and any other bonus you might have on your Glaive, such as close to melee. Now no doubt you've got your favourite Strand weapon already picked out for this season, and I don't need to tell you how strong Unraveling Orbs are, giving us access to Unraveling rounds whenever we pick up an Orb of Power, or a Tangle, for which we now have more uptime with. I've boosted this as well, so our Strand weapons are going to deal increased damage to any Strand debuffed targets. And coupled with 2 shreds, when dealing sustained damage to a severed target, is going to now unravel them. And defeating these targets is going to create a hotspot of Strand energy, granting us Woven Mail for a short duration. This is kind of like Sunspot's Green Meanie style. We've also got this one boosted, so Unravel projectiles deal increased damage, and these deal again further increased damage to severed targets. We then have that Horde Shuttle, so damaging unraveled targets with a weapon will occasionally spawn threadlings. And we had this boosted, so these threadlings are going to sever targets that they damage. So this essentially creates us a feedback loop between unravel and sever. The great thing being that we just need to get in there, rich and deep, whilst all this grand chaos is going on around us as it debuffs and attacks for us. And lastly, you want Thread of Evolution. So our threadlings are going to travel 30% further and faster and deal an increased 33% damage. Now feel free to pause here for all my mods, fragments and artifacts, but there will be a dim link in the description down below. I set this kit up on reset and I ran it without the boosted toys in the artifact and it worked really well, but then boosted, it just put this grin across my face as it just trivialized Grandmasters. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. What's your favourite Glaive been this season? Make sure to thumb it if you dug it, sub if you're new, and as always, tippy time, damies, what a tie.